young auto mechanic Chu Tiankuo agrees to take part in a secret martial arts tournament organized by wealthy businessman Du Jimin. Not to win, but because participating may shed light on the fate of his father, who disappeared 15 years earlier. At the tournament, Tianqi crosses paths with another contestant, Lin Qiao, who saves his life. Forced to flee together, the two set off without realizing that their escape will ultimately lead Tianqi to the truth about his father. Peak Confrontation, which appeared on Chinese online streaming platforms in the spring of 2025, took 5 years to reach audiences and, along the way, seems to have undergone several major changes. As a result, the story had to be heavily reworked in the editing room. Perhaps not everything that was planned could be filmed because of the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Perhaps the budget was miscalculated and the production simply ran out of money. Or perhaps the footage just didn't cut together well, and the producers decided it would be easier to invent a new story than to salvage the old one. Whatever the case, a 2020 article announcing the start of production describes Peak Confrontation very differently. And what we see on screen suggests that a great deal was rebuilt and improvised during post-production. Some scenes from the prologue are repeated 3 or even 4 times in an attempt to stitch together elements that stubbornly refuse to connect. The opening moments promise science fiction, a future in which humanity has been thinned out by some kind of virus, but this idea is almost entirely abandoned. And from there, the plot veers off in a new direction every 15 minutes, constantly changing course. Urban cyberpunk futurism gives way to a survival tournament, after which the action shifts to a flimsy plywood village on an island, where young women in short, pristine white dresses live around a sacred tree, made up as if they were about to step onto a fashion runway. It's hard not to see this as a clumsy attempt to cosplay Avatar. The characters search first for a miraculous flower, then for pieces of a golden mask that are supposedly meant to point the way to some lost island. After the story thread you've just barely managed to grab is yanked out of your hands yet again, you eventually give up trying to make sense of it all and start watching the film in moving images mode. To be fair, even in this mode, without engaging too deeply with what's happening, Peak Confrontation is almost watchable. The pacing is fairly tight, and there's plenty of action, staged at a slightly higher level than what you usually see in projects that have, so to speak, clawed their way out of production hell after many years. Director Dai Yi-Lin has made a number of solid action films, and whilst Peak Confrontation won't rank among them, you can sense that there's a baseline level of quality below which he refuses to sink. The cast is also decent. The lead roles are played by young actors Chen Hua-Feng and Yue Xin, supported by Hong Kong veterans Vincent and Andrew Lin, as well as the striking Cica Zhou, who effectively stepped away from cinema in the early 2020s, making this a rare chance to see her on screen again. As for Chen Hua-Feng, a very popular musician and actor, he turns out to be surprisingly athletic. In the hand-to-hand combat scenes, he looks so confident that you'd think he'd been practicing martial arts since childhood. It doesn't save the film as a whole, but it's refreshing for once to see a young actor in an action movie who doesn't look like he only knows how to strike poses.